Are you ready to embark on a transformative journey towards peace, purpose, and fulfillment? Join multi-certified coaches Denise Russo and Samantha Powell for your signature story retreat. This 3-day retreat is designed to put you on a path of self-discovery and personal growth. Your signature story is all-inclusive so you can focus on what truly matters. Our seasoned and certified facilitators will guide you through eye-opening experiences, providing the tools and insights you need to create lasting change. If you're feeling tired and stuck and want to change your story, this retreat is your opportunity. Invest in yourself because you are the most important asset. This retreat is your chance to prioritize your well-being, enable perspectives, and unlock your full potential. Reserve your spot today and take the first step towards a brighter future. Welcome to What's on Your Bookshelf with your hosts, Denise Russo and Samantha Powell.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back again. This is another episode of What's on Your Bookshelf, but it's going to be a little bit unique today. This is a special edition episode. We're not actually going to be walking through a book today that's on your shelf, but it's a book that's really a big part of your life. It's the story of your life. And you're the author. So today, Sam and I would like to be able to walk through some steps, 3 steps actually, that we've personally worked on ourselves and that we use as the framework when we're coaching others to be able to help others clear their vision, get unstuck, unblock obstacles towards the future for what people want in their life. I'm really encouraged and looking forward to the discussion today. So we'd like to also invite you, if you're somewhere where you have the ability to write, we'd love for you to grab a pen and some paper or a computer or tablet to be able to jot down some notes. If you're driving, be safe. You can come back and listen to the episode again later. This will be shorter than some of our other episodes, but we're looking forward to helping you get a breakthrough. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to my partner, Samantha Powell from Lead the Game, to be able to walk us through these 3 steps. Sam, how are you doing today?
I'm great. I'm super excited for this edition because I think this is going to be something that people love. This is an exercise that I've walked people through in coaching sessions, and it's always met with really rave reviews, and people are like, oh, I wish I knew how to do this before. Oh my gosh, this helped me really think deeper. So I'm hoping that this special edition helps people think about their story and think about maybe not the bookshelf, but the book that's on their heart and in their mind and what they want to do with, some of the big things in their life. So I'm super excited.
That sounds really awesome. I mean, this is a great opportunity for us all to turn the page, right? We're at this page in our life, and now we have the opportunity to turn the page and write what's on the next page. I've been coaching several different people lately, and one of the best things that I experience as a coach, and I'm sure the same is for you, Sam, is when you see people get breakthroughs. And I recall there was somebody I was talking to last week who said, the one thing I took away from our session today, Denise, was that I just feel more clarity. I feel less fuzzy. I feel like I now have some direction. And in fact, one of the people that I was coaching recently took the actions and ended up having such absolute transformation. He called me afterwards and he said, I just have to let you know, I feel like my whole life has changed. And it was something super simple, which I know that you're going to walk us through today. Yeah.
Yep. That's why we do what we do, right? It's those fuzzy, foggy moments that people have where there's like, oh, there's something here in the middle of all these thoughts and feelings that I'm having. And I just don't know how to get to the other side. And this is one of the ways that we help start to get people to the other side. So I'm really excited to share it with everybody. All right, so let's get started then. So I'm going to walk us through questions. Like Denise said, please, if you can, safely, go pause this real quick and go grab something to write with or to take notes on, because we're going to be asking you questions like we would if we were sitting down in a coaching session, and where you would normally answer out loud. I want you to answer for yourself. Write it down, type it out for yourself so that you can have notes to really look back at, because these are going to be things that'll help carry you really to next steps and, to other things that you could do, as you think about what you want in your life. So the 3 steps that we're really going to guide you through, and this is what we do with all goal setting, right? If you've got somewhere you want to go, if you've got something you want to do, the 3 things you have to start with are, where do you want to go? Where are you now? and what obstacles are in your way, right? Think about it like a race, right? Where's your finish line, right? What does that look like? Is that 5 kilometers out? Is that a whole marathon? And where's your starting line? And what things are going to happen along that road? And what obstacles are going to get in your way to really help you get there? And then once you've got that really mapped out, again, as your starting place, then there's action planning and how do you work through that kind of week over week, day over day, et cetera, et cetera. But we're going to start with an envisioning. We're going to start with really thinking through what your best possible future self really looks like at a given point in time. So this is where I want you to stop. I want you to, make sure you've got that thing to take your notes on and think about, imagine what your best possible self is like at some given point in the future. And this could be whatever makes sense for you. Everybody's on their own timeline. Maybe you've got timeline that you're working with. Hey, in 5 years, I want to look like this, or hey, by the time I'm done with this milestone, maybe it's getting through school or a program, or, hey, maybe once my kids are this age, whatever that looks like, whatever that point in time that really calls to you. And it can be anything. Maybe it's just a year, right? A year from now, I want things to be different. Whatever that is, think about what your best possible self looks like. Really envision yourself there. And as you're writing this out, as you're typing this out, do it as vividly and specifically as you can about the life in the future, but use present tense, right? So I am statements. I am this. I feel this way. I look this way. I'm with these people, right? So we're going to ask you the questions. We're going to walk you through it. But when you write it down in present tense about your future self. So first question is, how do you feel in this future moment? How do you feel? What are those words that come to mind? And again, be writing down the first thing that comes to your mind. We firmly believe as coaches that you know the answer. And so you really want to think about that. So, Denise, let's think about what are people feeling like in this future version of themselves?
One thing that comes to my mind, Sam, while people are thinking about this question, we're going to give you some time in just a moment to write this down for yourself. But you made a great analogy about being in a race. And what it got me thinking about, Sam, is that the best athletes are not haphazard, but they've envisioned the end of the race. Maybe if it is a hurdle jumper, they know exactly how many hurdles are there, how they're going to jump over those hurdles, who's running next to them. But I don't think it's even that they're thinking just about that. They have that vision in their mind about what it's going to look like when they cross the finish line and get the medal around their neck. And I think I've read a couple stories even where there's athletes like basketball players that can envision the ball going through the hoop before it actually does, or kicking a ball into a soccer net before it actually gets there. And that's the way that visioning helps them achieve that goal. So I think that when I'm thinking about getting to that finish line and being the best possible future self, I'm envisioning winning. And what does winning look like? And how do I feel in those moments of victory?
Okay, that's great. That's great. So let's think about this question and let's bring people back into this exercise of really envisioning what this best possible future self of you feels like. How do you feel in this moment? What are the emotions that you have? What are the feelings that you have in this best possible future self? I feel fulfilled. I feel content. What do those feelings look like for yourself? I feel happy.
I feel positive. I feel a sense of clarity. I know I've talked with clients that have said, I feel like I'm no longer fuzzy or stuck, or that somehow I just feel better about myself. And I feel like it's more color than black and white.
I love that. It's such a great feeling. Such a great feeling. So whatever those feelings are for you, write those down. And again, what are those words that pop into your mind right away? Those are the things that you really do want. Our subconscious holds our wants and our desires for us. So what is that feeling that's really popping into your mind? Second question is who are you with? I am with my spouse. I am with my children.
You might even be with people you don't even know yet. Which is a wonderful thing about growth, because it helps you to explore the journey of meeting new people. And sometimes the people that you're around, or the culture that you're in, or the coworkers that you have. Like I say this often, Sam, to people when they're starting in their career, they're so excited to start that first career, but they don't think about the fact that that's just the first step in their career. And it's very likely they won't be there forever. So for me, the future self and how do you feel and who are you with could be people you don't even know yet. But what are the things about those people that you're really looking forward to being around?
Yeah, exactly. And maybe that's some of that stuff that you're missing right now, right? I want people who are extremely positive. I want people who inspire me in a specific way. So I think it's a great point, Denise. A lot of the people in your future are people you don't know yet. But what characteristics do those people have? What are those things that call to you? When you think about a group of people sitting around you that's your tribe, who are those people, right? And maybe there's a role that you don't have in your life now that you really want, right? Maybe you want somebody who's your ride or die, right? Like, who is that person? Or maybe you have that person, they're there, but maybe, the two of you would like somebody else that also is, maybe they're your calming presence. Maybe they're your, mindfulness friend who helps you slow down or speed up, whatever you really need. But yeah, those characteristics of who's surrounding you and who's that tribe.
Yeah, absolutely. I think before we take a pause and let people write this down, to just remind you as the listeners, this is about positive change. So you may be thinking of who you may be with today, but let's make sure we're removing blockers that are going to prevent you from getting to that winning or whatever that happy, positive future self is. So let's write this down. Who are you with?
Yeah. Who are you with in that best possible future self in whatever time frame you've set for yourself? The next question is, what does your day look like? Really write this out. And this might be where you want to pause the podcast for a minute and really think about this. But think about it from sunup to sundown. What time am I waking up? What do I do first thing? What do I do next, right? What does my entire morning look like? When do I eat? What does that serve in my day? Think about what your perfect ideal day really would look like in the future. When you're your best possible future self, what is that, right? I wake up and I exercise. I wake up and I meditate. I wake up and I journal. Then I sit down with breakfast for my family. Then I grab a coffee and a breakfast as I drive into the office because that saves me time. Whatever that looks like for you, there's no wrong answer. This is your best version of yourself. But think through your day. What does that really need to look like for you to live that best day possible?
I would just add to that to think about it doesn't have to be busy, but productive. Difference between busy and productive. I know for me personally, I felt like for many years, others were holding my calendar captive because I was working for someone else as opposed to working on myself. And so as you're thinking through this and what your day looks like, maybe your day looks like you wake up without an alarm clock and you go to the beach and breathe in the fresh air before you decide what you're going to do next. So it doesn't have to be filled with things, but it needs to be filled with your heart. And so as you're thinking about what your day looks like, maybe you even have a future self that the people that you're with and the things that you're doing are where you are now, but just evolved, or maybe you're somewhere where it's completely different from where you are today.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. That's so great. Productive, but not busy. That's how I want to be. All right. So the next question to ask yourself would be, where are you? Right. And that could be physically, right? Like think about, okay, currently I live in this place and I'd like to live in this place, or currently I'm in this type of housing arrangement and I'd like to be in this type of housing arrangement, right? Think about it, right? You've picked a point in time in the future. Where are you physically, right? What does that look like? Sometimes that's a really big change. Sometimes it's, hey, I'm still in the same place. I still live in my same house. I still live in my same apartment, right? That feels really comforting to me. I love it. But I would like, maybe it to be decorated different, or I just want it to work better for me, or maybe it's perfect as is. And if it changes at all, I will not like it. So I want to maintain, right? But thinking about where are you, right? And maybe in location, maybe in, what surrounds you, but really the where aspect. Where are you in this future?
I love that. I think what I would add to that, Sam, is I'm thinking in listening to you share this, that for our listeners, and especially for myself, because I'm going through the exercise while we're doing it together, is where you are in the future depends on the date that you're putting into the future. So you might be thinking about where you want to be a month from now or a year from now. Maybe it's 3 years from now. Maybe it's even in a lifetime. Like where you are in your journey depends on where you're picking for your future self. For me personally, I have kids who are in college now. So the first thing that's popping into my mind is, where do I want to be when my kids finish college? I've already had to start the pivot and transition of where I am today because they are in college, not needing me quite the same as they did when they were younger. But depending on where you are in your own journey, the future self might not be some random date far into the future. Maybe it's just where you want to be by January.
Absolutely. And that's where all these questions have got to be contextual, like you say, Denise, to where you are, right? Because where I want to be in 15 years is very different than where I want to be a year from now, physically, what's around me, that sort of a thing. And so this is, again, right around that point in time that you've chosen, right? If that's 4 years out, if that's at a milestone, if that's just a few months from now, but where are you, right? What does that really look like?
I love this question. I want to say one more thing to it before we take the pause, is that I know that you and I both get an opportunity, and it's such a great opportunity to coach young people as they're starting out in their career. And it's easy to say to someone who's starting out in their career, where do you want to be when you retire? So they have maybe 50 years ahead of them, right? Which is so scary to think about that number. But I have one of my best, closest friends just turned 50 the other day. And we kind of were joking that, we're over the halfway mark, at least according to statistics. So we don't have the question about what do we want to be doing 50 years from now. We're looking at what do we want to be doing maybe before we're 65, or maybe just before we run out of time to feel like we can have quality life. This is really about quality life, isn't it? It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality.
What does that quality life look like at that given point in time that you've chosen? All right. The next question is, who do you impact? This is my favorite question because it's about what impact I make on those around me, right? I've thought about how I feel. I've thought about who I'm with. I've thought about what my day looks like. I've thought about where I am. But now this is, what impact do I have in the world? And who am I impacting, right? Because you can't have an impact if it's not really about affecting other people, really, ultimately, at the end of the day. So who do you impact? And think about, in what way are they impacted, right? I help teachers with something. I help single moms. I help men in their 40s. I help, it doesn't matter who it is. It's about your calling, your purpose. But think about that. If I could help one group of people, if I could impact somebody's life in a positive way, in this best possible future self, in this perfect day that I have, surrounded by the people that I want, in a place that I want to be, what is that impact that I'm having on people? When I lay my head down at the end of my perfect day, who have I impacted? Who have I helped in some way? Whose day is better because I'm part of it? What does that really look like? And again, write out very vividly, really describe. This is where you may want to pause a little bit longer and really write that out, right? If I'm impacting somebody, what does that look like? And it's okay if it's fuzzy, and it's okay if it's a little vague and you're not exactly sure. Write down as specifically as you can. Denise, I don't know if you've got some good questions for people to think about, but in this, who you impact and what that looks like.
I instantly, when you described that just now, thought of Winnie the Pooh. I don't know why. It just popped into my mind. Everybody knows already, if you've been listening to our podcast, that I'm a big Disney fan. But when you were saying, who do you impact? Instantly, Winnie the Pooh's character popped into my mind. And I started to think about, Sam, that whether it was Piglet or Eeyore or Owl or specifically Christopher Robin, that one thing they all had in common was that they relied on, they were impacted by, and they believed in Winnie the Pooh. And yet his character was sort of like very humble and he didn't go about his day trying to change the world and impact people's lives like, maybe a motivational speaker or a king of a country. The little things that we can do in life can still make a big difference in the lives of others. And so when we're thinking of this question, that's what came to my mind, is that who you're impacting doesn't need to be from the mindset of something that's so monumental that you're speaking to hundreds of thousands of people in a stadium. Maybe it is. Maybe that's your dream. But it could be that the people that you're impacting are right in front of you who may be craving time with you that they don't get today.
I love that. I love that. Maybe it's just those people that you said you're with, right? Those people that I surround myself with are better because they're surrounded by me. I love that. And for most of us, that's who we impact the most, right? Mm-hmm. We impact the people inside the place we live the most. We spend the most time with them. We impact our coworkers because that's who we spend plus hours a week with, right? Like, so you're absolutely right. I love that, because that's the thing that I think a lot of people will get wrong with this a lot of times, right? Because we will try to dream this huge big, and then you think, I'm not destined to be the person who speaks in front of 100,000 people. It doesn't matter. Right? It's that butterfly effect, right? You're the person who impacts the person who impacts the person who impacts the person. And that's lovely, right? I think about my grandmother. She's taught me so many little things that I've taught so many people, right? I've passed these on to managers of managers who've, passed it on, right? Of these little sayings. And she didn't set out to do anything other than live her life with her family. That's her people, that's her impact. And, I think about that all the time, and that's a perfect example. So who do you impact? What does that really look like for you? And think about starting with those closest to you. And then if your dreams are that big of all the strangers, then great, go for it. But if it's not, that's where we all impact the most, is who's right around us. So who do you impact?
I saw a post recently, and I've seen it many times, but it just popped up again recently, and it said something to the degree of, at the end of your life, what are people going to say about you? How hard you worked? Or what will your children say about you at the end of your life? That you were busy, that you were traveling, that you were searching for success and not leading a life of significance. Now, granted, we all need work because we have to pay our bills. But this question to me, Sam, when you said it, it is really important. Not who do you impact, but who do you want to be impacting? What is it you really want out of your life at the end of the day?
All right. And so what we're going to do now is sort of move into this, where are you today? So the question to really ask yourself, let's go back and look at what you've written down. And the thing that you want to think about is, what is different about your best possible future self compared to your current self? Right? So let's go back through the questions and listen through. And we won't spend a whole lot of time like we did. And again, you can pause and you can take time. That's what this one's meant for, is really for you to be able to interact and take the time that you need. But we're going to go back through those same questions. And I'm going to go through them quicker and not give you a whole bunch of examples. But we're doing a comparison now. What we're thinking about is, today, your current self, how do you feel? Look at what you wrote down for your future self. Right? What did you say that, what were those emotions? What were those feelings that you wrote down there? But how do you feel today? Write those words out. And the best thing that you can do when you're thinking about your current self is really taking a hard look in the mirror and being honest with yourself. These notes aren't for anybody else. You're not telling anybody. These are your own secret diary. You can be super honest with yourself. How do I feel today? Right when I wake up and I move through my day, what does that really look like? So who are you with today in comparison to that future best self? What does today you look like? What is current self? Who does surround you? Write out that list, right? Just write down who are the people that you interacted with this last week or this last month, right? Really write that list down and think about that. And then you can do a comparison. What does your day look like? Write out what you did yesterday, start to finish. What did that look like? Write out the day before. What are all the things that you did? And how does that compare to the vision that you wrote down for yourself? Where are you, right? And that was probably the easy one, right? Because you kind of did this in envisioning, but where are you today, right? And really think about where from all of its aspects, right? Where am I physically? Where am I, just kind of what's around me? And, my house is messy and I don't want it to be messy, right? Think about that physical space, around you. And then who do you impact, right? And this is where you might want to phone in a friend, right? Call up your ride or die, call up your family, call up those people that know you best and say, what is it specifically about me that you love? What is it specifically about me that makes an impact on you, right? Ask them that. Don't ask them, why do you love me? Why are we friends? That's a little too much for people. Ask them the question of what is it specifically about me that ... fills in the blank, whatever you're looking for. But if you can't figure out what your impact today is, or you're not really sure, start with some notes for yourself, but maybe go phone in a friend, maybe go talk to somebody and ask them, what is it specifically about me that impacts you, right? What is it specifically about me that makes you answer the phone when I call? What is it specifically about me that will have you drop everything and come running, right? What is that? And that's going to tell you what your impact to other people is, right? And that'll be the thing where somebody says, oh, you're so funny. Oh, you see the world the way that I do. Oh, you just give me good advice. Or, oh, you listen to me, right? It's what are you doing for that person? And you'll hear that as you ask those questions to people.
A couple of years ago, when I first met you, I knew instantly when I met you that I wanted my future self to figure out a way to work with you. Didn't know what it looked like. My mind was fuzzy. It was unclear. There was zero in my mind that years later we would be on a podcast talking to people about how to have significance in our life. But I knew immediately when I was thinking about what do I want my future life to be like and who do I want around me, I just knew then that I knew I needed it and wanted it to be you. And so some of the things that I thought about were, what were the things about you that were attractive to my heart and inspired me to want you around me? And there was a period of time for a while that I tried to convince you to come be with me on a team. And there was time when we were on a team as colleagues and a time where we were on a team in different ways. And then you went away, not by our own choice. And then you came back and then we both went away, not on our own choice. And then we came back together again. But these questions about where you are today, they don't have to feel bad, right? But maybe you do feel stuck. Maybe you're discouraged. Maybe you're disenchanted. Maybe you feel downtrodden, or you just feel like where you are isn't where you want to be. Or maybe you have an experience like I did, which is where you want to be somewhere different, not because you don't like where you are, but because where you really want to go would be even that much better. So I would just encourage you as you're thinking through these questions that it doesn't have to be that you don't like where you are, but you may love where you could go, but it also might be that you don't really like where you are and you just need something different too.
Yeah. And that's that honesty, right? Of really looking in the mirror and saying what is good and what is bad, right? It's about what is in this part of this exercise. And the last question that you really want to ask yourself, right? And we're getting towards the end of this episode. So this is where we're going to kind of leave you with something to go off and think about. And again, you'll want to go off and write this down and we'll wrap it up here in a second. But the third step, right? You've thought about where you want to go. You've written down, or you're writing down where you are very honestly. But this third question is, what obstacles are in your way? So really look at, again, think about this like a race. A start line and a finish line. Start is where you are, finish is where you want to go. And think about what are the things that are going to pop up for you. And you might not know what all of those are. And that might be a hard question to ask, but this is where you really want to spend some time. And again, trust your gut. If there's something that pops in your head, write it down immediately. Write it down, right? So when I think about how I feel today and what I wrote down here, and I look at it compared to the other column of how I want to feel in the future, what things get in the way? And again, things will pop in your mind immediately. Write them down. What are those obstacles that'll get in your way, right? Who are you with, right? Maybe you don't have a romantic partner right now. You really want one. Future self wants that, right? They want somebody to call their own and to be their partner in life, but you don't know that person yet, right? Like, there's an obstacle. You have not met them, right? But what does that really look like? What does your day look like, right? Maybe right now I am not a morning person. Lord knows I cannot get myself out of bed, but maybe I want to be a morning person. So, what's that obstacle look like? I'm going to have to really kind of rewire myself, and that's going to be hard, right? So write those things down. So really, again, compare and contrast those two columns of future self versus current self, and write down the obstacles that are in your way.
I'll just add to that real quick is that the obstacles, again, don't have to be scary. There's some people that make a very good living being blockers, on a football field. There are people that also make a living jumping over hurdles. Like, they get excitement out of that kind of a thing. Maybe a blocker for you is simply that you're doing something today in an industry you're in, but you have a dream to do something else in another industry that's different. I was talking to somebody just yesterday, and he was telling me, he was sharing with me why he bought a business that he owns and runs, which is basically a headhunting business for people. And he said, what I realized is that widgets are widgets. You can sell widgets anywhere, but if you unblock your thinking, you can be able to see potential. And so maybe a blocker for you listening in is that you just need to elevate your potential. You need to learn something new or get stronger at a thing you already know. And that's what's going to be the opening for you to get to where you want to be.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be a negative thing. It can be something that's, I just don't have this knowledge yet. I just don't have this skill yet. And yet's the key word here, right? The obstacle is, I just don't have it in my possession, but I could get it in my possession, right? Mm-hmm. And so those are the things that foundationally then lead you towards an action plan, that leads you towards the things that you can do. So hopefully, as we've gone through this, it's given you some clarity on a little bit better on where you want to be, a little bit better on where you are, a little bit better on where you're at. And if you still need help, we're here to help you. We can do that. We can help guide you through things. If you're like, oh, this was great, but now I need a little bit more. I need, somebody helping me really clarify some of these points, or I need some help in really discovering what that action plan is and helping maybe drive accountability and what all that looks like, right? There's a lot more steps after this. This is to get you going, but there's a lot more that you do as you move through this. And it really becomes the actioning and how you hold yourself accountable and how you move forward.
So producer Scott will put into the show notes how you can get in touch with Sam and myself directly. We have a few spaces open for some coaching clients. I don't know if after this episode, if we will have that, but we will try. And I know that our recording is about to end. So I want to quickly share with you an opportunity that we have coming up September 29 through October 1. So the 29th, 30th, and October 1, Sam and I are hosting an immersive small group retreat in Florida. It's called Your Signature Story. If this resonates with you, send us an email at info@schoolofthoughts.net and we'll get you all the information. If you follow along with us on our School of Thoughts LinkedIn page, the information is there as well. And again, you can just write to each of us directly. So, Sam, thank you so much for walking us through this. Any closing thoughts for you today?
No, I hope this was really helpful for everyone. And I hope that you're a little less foggy and a little more clear on where you want to go. And if you need more help, we're here for you.
Yeah, come join us in September. We look forward to having you there with us. On behalf of Samantha Powell, my name's Denise Russo, and this is another episode of What's on Your Bookshelf.